Miss Musgrove has suffered a severe concussion of the head. She's still unconscious.
Oh, no.
But you mustn't despair. The case is far from hopeless.
Oh, thank God.
Thank heaven.
I've seen many worse injuries recovered from.
There's nothing else. It's only her head.
Nothing whatever. There's every reason to suppose that she'll make a full recovery.
Doctor, I really can't thank you enough. You can't imagine what that anxiety has been.
I shall come back in an hour or two. She will probably regain consciousness from time to time. She must be kept absolutely quiet.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you. Thank you.
Good day, Captain Harville. Remember, absolute quiet.
Yes, Doctor. Thank you.
Good day. Good day.
Well, thank God for that. I daren't tell you what I was afraid you would say.
What are we going to do now, Charles?
I don't know. We must decide, I suppose.
Well, one thing is certain. Your sister must remain where she is. She mustn't be moved.
Oh, my wife is a very experienced nurse. Your sister couldn't be in better hands.
Oh, I'm sure not.
And my nursemaid is excellent. She's been with me everywhere for years. We'll attend to her day and night.
You've been so kind, Mrs. Harville.
It isn't kindness to do what we're glad to do.
I think I'll just go up and sit in Louisa's room. I should like to be there when she does come to.
Very sorry to involve you in our troubles, Mrs. Harville.
But that's what friends are for.
We're delighted we can help.
Someone should go to Uppercross.
Oh, yes, at once.
Oh, yes. The news must be broken. Someone must go immediately. Musgrove, it must be either you or I. Very well, then it must be you. I can't leave Louisa.
Oh, no.
I'll be as little in the way as possible, Mrs. Harville. But I mustn't leave her while she's still so ill.
Of course not.
But I can't leave her either.
I think one of you should tell your parents, Musgrove. Yes. Well, Henrietta, I wonder if you'll be very useful here. You know you can't go into Louisa's room without becoming upset.
I know. But I feel so helpless. But I should like to be near her.
Of course you would. But think of your father and mother.
Oh, dear, yes. Yes, of course you're right. I suppose if Charles stays, then I really ought to go.
I think you should, Henrietta.
Yes, very well, then. Only let's go at once.
Then it's settled. You'll stay here, Musgrove, and I'll take care of your sister to Uppercross. What about the others? The others? One stays to help Mrs. Harville. I think it need only be one. Mrs. Musgrove, you'll want to get back to your children, of course.
My children, yes.
But if Anne will stay... No one so proper, so capable as Anne. Oh, I agree, absolutely. Anne must stay.
Yes, of course she must.
You'll stay, I'm sure, Miss Elliot. You'll stay and nurse her?
I should like to very much. It was what I was hoping I should be allowed to do. If Mrs. Harville will allow me, I could have a bed on the floor in Louisa's room.
Oh, I think we can do a little better than that.
That's all I need, I assure you.
Good, good. Then everything's settled. Oh, there's only one thing, Musgrove. It may be a good thing that your parents will be forewarned by our failure to get back in time. Yes? We should try not to alarm them still more by taking too long on the road. Don't you think it would be better if I took a chaise from the inn? Your father's coach is rather slow.
Oh, yes, capital idea.
Yes, and then we can send the carriage home early tomorrow morning with the news of how Louisa spent the night.
Excellent.
I'll go and see to it at once. Oh, perhaps to save time, Mrs. Musgrove and Henrietta can join me at the inn.
Oh, yes, of course. We won't be long.
What?
10 minutes, and we can be off.
Charles? Charles, what is this? I don't think I quite understand the arrangements.
You and Henrietta are going home with Captain Wentworth, Mary. Anne and I are staying here.
Anne staying here? Why, Anne?
Because we think she's the most useful person to be with Louisa.
Well, more useful than I am. Well, that's not very just, Charles. Well, Anne is nothing to Louisa, and I am her sister.
Mary, that has nothing to do with it.
Oh, indeed it does. Well, if Henrietta can't stay, then clearly I must. And you can't expect me to go home without you.
My dear, the children.
Oh, Charles, they'll be quite all right without me for a night.
But you said only a moment ago.
No, I shall stay here, Charles.
Mary, you're being very difficult.
No, I'm not. It's you who's being difficult. I ought to stay here. You should have realized that.
Oh, do please make up your minds. Captain Wentworth will be waiting for us.
Well, my mind is made up. I shall stay here. Well, Anne can go if somebody must.
Mary, are you sure you want to stay? I would like to nurse Louisa if I can.
But I have a right to be here, and you don't, which settles the matter.
You'd better go, Anne.
I see. Very well.
But we must go.
I'll walk you to the inn.
I'll come with you. I have to get myself a room. This has been a very distressing day, Miss Elliot.
Yes, it has.
I hope you will remember that it did not begin badly. I hope you will not think ill of Lyme itself.
Oh, no. One mustn't let an accident spoil a place for one.
Where's Mrs. Musgrove?
She's going to stay instead of Anne.
What? But we agreed.
We decided to alter the plan.
But Miss Elliot is such a very good nurse.
I know, but
Well, it seems extremely strange.
we decided it would be more convenient.
Well, let's get in, Anne.
Go as fast as you can.
Don't I know this road? You must be almost home.
Yes, we are. I've been wondering what the best thing is to do when we get there. What do you think?
And I'm not sure.
I don't think Henrietta should go straight in, do you? She couldn't stand it.
No, she couldn't. What do you suggest?
Well, I was wondering whether you'd like to stay in the carriage with her while I go and break the news to her parents. Is that a good idea, do you think?
Yes, I do. If you don't mind being the person...
No, it's my duty. I think I shall go straight back to Lyme when it's all over.
Tonight? Do you think you should?
I feel I must.
This is a great pleasure, Lady Russell. Miss Elliot.
Mrs. Croft, I wonder, have you heard anything new from Lyme?
Only that Louisa is slowly improving.
Isn't that good?
When did you last hear?
I had a note yesterday morning. I don't know how it got here.
Oh, I expect Frederick brought it.
That's my brother, Captain Wentworth, Lady Russell. I believe you've met him.
Yes.
He was here yesterday, very briefly, and then he went back to Lyme again. He asked after you most particularly, Miss Elliot.
Oh.
Yes, indeed. He says Miss Elliot was superb in the crisis, Lady Russell.
I only wish I had been.
And he hopes you're none the worse for all your exertions.
But I did so little.
That's not what he says.
Indeed, it's not.
Well, Charles and Mary will be home tomorrow. They will tell us how things are.
It all seems to have been a most deplorable business.
Most deplorable.
Of course, Louisa was always a very imprudent girl.
It's a new sort of way for a young fellow to be making love by breaking his mistress's head, isn't it, Miss Elliot? This is, breaking her head and giving her plaster, truly.
I simply can't imagine what Frederick thought he was doing.
I can only conclude he wasn't thinking at all.
Yeah, a very bad business. Oh, but Miss Elliot, this must be a very bad moment for you, coming and finding us here.
Oh, not at all, sir, I assure you.
I declare I didn't remember before, but it must be very bad.
I don't mind, really.
Now, don't stand on ceremony. Get up and go over the whole house if you want to.
Another time, sir, thank you, not now.
Oh, well, whenever it suits you. You can slip in from the shrubbery at any time. You'll find we keep our umbrellas hanging up by that door there. It's a good place, isn't it?
Yes, very good.
Oh, but Miss Elliot won't think so. You always kept your umbrellas in the butler's room.
Yes, we did.
Aye. So it always is, I believe. One man's ways may be as good as another's, but we all think our own the best.
Quite.
So you must judge for yourself whether you'd rather go round the house or not.
It's very kind of you, sir, but I think I'd prefer not to today.
Miss Elliot, when will you be joining your father and sister in Bath?
The day after tomorrow. Until then, I'm staying with Lady Russell.
Oh, very nice.
Well, it is for me.
We've made very few changes, you know, Miss Elliot, very few. I think we told you about the laundry door.
Yes, you did.
That's been a very great improvement. Indeed, it was a wonder how any family on earth could have borne with the inconvenient way it opened for so long.
Well, I expect we were used to it.
You'll tell your father what we've done?
Certainly.
And that Mr. Shepherd thinks it's the greatest improvement the house has ever seen? Indeed, I must do ourselves the justice of saying that the very few alterations that we made have all been very much for the better.
I'm sure they have.
My wife should have the credit of them, really.
Oh, no.
I've done very little myself, except for sending away some of the large looking glasses from what was your father's dressing room.
Well, there were a great many.
He's a very good man and very much the gentleman, I'm sure, but I should think, Miss Elliot, I should think that your father must be rather a dressy man for his time of life.
Well...
So many looking glasses. Oh, Lord. There was no getting away from oneself. So I got Sophie to lend me a hand, and we soon shifted their quarters.
I hope you are quite comfortable now.
Oh, I'm very snug now, with my little shaving glass in one corner. Another great thing I never go near.
The Admiral's used to smaller quarters at sea, you understand, Lady Russell.
Of course.
Oh, well, we've settled here quite to our liking. We've no fault to find.
None at all.
The breakfast-room chimney smokes a little, I grant you. But that's only when the wind's due north and blows hard, which isn't likely to happen more than 3 times a winter.
And there's no need to mention it, my dear.
No. No, of course not. Taking it all together, now that we've been in most of the houses hereabouts and can judge, there's nowhere we like better than Kellynch Hall. Pray tell your good father that, Miss Elliot, with my compliments. He'll be glad to hear it, I'm sure.
There was always so much going on in Lyme, you know. Charles Hayter came over several times to see Henrietta.
Yes, I saw no need for that myself. But there was always something to do. We walked to and fro from our lodgings to the harbours and back again. Oh, and I got books from the library. It's always having to change them.
We went over to Charmouth one day.
Yes, and I bathed. We went to church, of course.
Oh, I'm glad to hear that.
There are far more people to look at church in Lyme than here, you know.
And, of course, we saw a great deal of Wentworth. Capital fellow.
Yes, Anne. You know, he felt it was all his fault and was very distressed about it. Well, he's cheered up a little as Louisa's got better, but he's insisted on not seeing her in case it upsets her. Isn't it strange?
Very strange.
It's perfectly true, though. In fact, now he's left Lyme altogether for a few days. Benwick's still there, of course. But Wentworth's gone to visit his brother in Shropshire.
Really?
Yes, very strange behaviour. Did Anne tell you about our extraordinary meeting with Mr. Elliot, Lady Russell?
Yes, she did.
Wasn't it remarkable? Oh, I wish I'd been there to see him.
Oh, I'm very glad I was not. He is a man I have had no wish to see, since he declined to be on friendly terms with the head of his family.
Oh. Oh, then you haven't heard.
Heard what?
I had a letter from Elizabeth yesterday. Mr. Elliot is in Bath and has called on them 3 times already.
Do you mean he wants to be reconciled with your father?
Apparently. Isn't it exciting? He's changed completely, it seems.
It's very surprising, if it's true.
Oh, but it is. You still not want to see him?
Well, if he's really sought your father out to be reconciled with him, then yes. I should like to see him very much indeed.
And you too, Anne, I'm sure.
Well, I'd certainly rather see Mr. Elliot than a great many other people in Bath.
Oh, I do wish we were coming with you. When are you leaving?
Tomorrow.
Well, I hope you enjoy yourselves. I prefer the country myself.
Oh, yes, you would.
Goodbye. Thank you.
Goodbye.
Oh, this is the best house in Camden Place, Anne. There's no doubt about it.
You were very clever to find it.
Well, Penelope helped me look, you know.
How good it is to have you with your family again, Miss Anne.
Thank you.
Yes, it'll be very agreeable to have a fourth when we dine. I just like to sit down with only 3.
Everybody wants to call on us. We've had to decline all sorts of invitations, but people we know nothing about at all will keep leaving their cards.
Well, it's not so extraordinary that people should want to know us, Elizabeth.
Oh, indeed not, Sir Walter.
I dare say we're much missed in the country, Anne.
Well, everyone's been so concerned about Louisa Musgrove, you know.
Yes, you did tell us. How are Charles and Mary and the children?
They're all very well. They send you their best wishes.
How kind. Oh, Anne, do look. Isn't it spacious?
Very.
They're the best drawing rooms we've seen in the whole of Bath. And look how they're furnished.
They're beautiful, Elizabeth. Beautiful.
Yes, yes, we're quite pleased. I dare say you've heard about how we met Mr. Elliot, Anne, my heir.
Oh, yes, Mary told me.
Oh, we like him so much. He's been here about a fortnight now.
He was here for 24 hours in November, as a matter of fact. That's when he found out we were here. Of course, he didn't have time to call then.
Oh, of course not. But we see a great deal of him now, Anne. Everything is forgiven and forgotten.
But what about his marriage?
Well, we haven't spoken directly to him about it, of course, but Well, a great friend of his, Colonel Wallace, has explained everything.
A highly respectable man, Colonel Wallace, and not ill-looking. Fine military figure. Oh, he's sandy-haired, I'm sorry to say.
Oh, he's a perfect gentleman. He lives in Marlborough Buildings in very good style. He particularly asked Mr. Elliot if he might be introduced to us.
Oh?
Yes, and then he explained the whole story. Mr. Elliot's wife was not from any good family, it's true, but it seems she was very well educated and accomplished, and very much in love with him.
Yes, there was the charm, you see. She sought him, and I'm assured she was a very fine-looking woman.
With a large fortune. Oh, not that her money had tempted him, of course.
No, she was in love with him. That explains everything.
Does it?
Well, it's certainly an extenuation, Anne. It explains a great deal. Oh, he's called here so often. We asked him to dine one evening. He was delighted by that. We don't usually give dinner parties, you know.
No?
No. That's why he was so particularly pleased to be asked. He really does value his connection with us immensely.
Oh, yes, Miss Elliot. He values it very highly indeed.
I saw him at Lyme, you know, without realizing who he was.
Oh, yes, you did mention it. Perhaps it was him. I really don't know.
It might have been him, I suppose.
Oh, yes, it was. There's no doubt about it.
Well, perhaps. He has a very gentlemanly appearance. A great air of elegance and fashion. Good-shaped face. A sensible eye. But I'm sorry to say he's very much underhung about the jaw. Even more so than when we last saw him.
Dear me.
Yes, I can't pretend that 10 years haven't altered almost every one of his features for the worse.
But Mr. Elliot thought your father hadn't changed at all, Miss Anne.
Yes, he did. I was embarrassed not to be able to return the compliment. However, I don't mean to complain. He's much better looking than most men. I've no objection to being seen with him anywhere.
Colonel Wallace is very agreeable, too. Oh, he was so anxious to meet us.
Is there a Mrs. Wallace?
Well, yes, but her confinement is due any day now. We're to meet her when she's recovered. Mr. Elliot says she's a most charming woman.
And extremely pretty. Even beautiful. Oh, I long to see her. She may make up for the great many plain faces I'm continually passing in the streets.
Are they so very bad, Father?
The worst thing about Bath is the number of plain women, Anne. Oh, I don't mean there are no pretty ones, of course. But the number of plain ones is out of all proportion.
I hope the men are better.
The men? Oh, they're infinitely worse. The streets are full of nothing but scarecrows.
Dear me.
Well, I'm afraid it's obvious how little the women are used to the sight of tolerable looks. A man of decent appearance produces a very great effect. I've never walked anywhere arm in arm with Colonel Wallace without observing that every woman's eyes were on him.
Oh, Father, you know very well they weren't looking at him.
Colonel Wallace was not alone, I think.
Well, it may be. How's Mary looking? Last time I saw her, she had a red nose. I hope that doesn't happen every day.
Oh, no, that must have been bad luck. She's been looking very well since you left.
If I thought it wouldn't tempt her to go out in sharp winds and go coarse, I'd send her a new hat and pelisse.
Well, perhaps a gown wouldn't be quite so dangerous, Father.
Oh, wasn't that a knock?
It's 10 o'clock. Who could it be?
Well, Mr. Elliot was dining in Lansdowne Crescent. Do you think it might be him?
Oh, I do hope so.
I think it did sound like his knock.
Mr. Elliot. Good evening, Sir Walter.
Good evening, sir. Good evening.
Miss Elliot, I'm sorry to call on you at such an unusual hour, but I couldn't pass by without making quite sure that neither you nor your friend caught cold yesterday. It was so very wet.
How very kind of you, sir, but no, we're both quite well, thank you.
Oh, yes, indeed, sir, thank you.
Mr. Elliot must give me leave to present him to my youngest daughter.
How do you do, sir?
But I know her already, Sir Walter, in all but name. Surely you were at Lyme this autumn?
Yes, I was.
Then I must beg you to accept me as an old acquaintance.
Oh, so it was Mr. Elliot you saw, Anne.
Oh, did you know who I was?
Oh, not until after you'd gone, I'm afraid.
Well, what an extraordinary coincidence. We were at the same inn, Sir Walter, without either of us knowing it.
Very unusual.
And to make it stranger still, the evening of the day I saw you in Lyme, I learned here in Bath that your father and sister had settled here.
Well, that is odd, I must say.
I do regret missing the chance to pay my respects to you.
Oh, and my other sister, Mrs. Musgrove, was there too. We'd all come over from Uppercross.
Oh, I knew you were a party. I spent a solitary evening in the next room listening to you all. You sounded very merry. I thought you must be the most delightful people in the world. I longed to be with you.
Well, that evening we were
I
merry.
didn't have the slightest suspicion. If only I'd asked who you were, the name Musgrove would have told me all I needed to know. But you said you were merry that evening. I hope nothing happened to make you anything else.
Oh, yes, I'm afraid it did. Louisa Musgrove fell down some steps on the cob. She's still not fully recovered.
Dreadful.
Oh, Anne, Mr. Elliot doesn't want to hear about Louisa's accident. Tell us about your dinner party. Who was there?
You must tell me about it some other time. I can see that I must play the gossip now.
I've been thinking, Miss Elliot, now that Miss Anne is here, you can't want me any longer, I'm sure.
What, Penelope? Of course I do. Anne's coming is no reason at all why you should go. I can assure you I don't think. Why?
You're very kind.
She's nothing to me compared to you.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, good morning. My dear madam, of course you will stay. You've seen nothing of Bath yet. You've only been here to be useful.
And you have been.
Yes, indeed. You must run away from us now. You must stay and meet Mrs. Wallace, the beautiful Mrs. Wallace. I know very well how much your fine mind is gratified by the sight of beauty.
Oh, Sir Walter.
Of course you must stay, Penelope. I can't do without you.
Well, if you insist.
We do, we do.
As a matter of fact, Penelope, I need you now. Would you excuse us, Father?
Of course, my dear, of course. Anne, you're looking much better. Altogether less thin.
Am I, Father?
Yes, yes, your cheeks are plumper. I compliment you. Your skin, your complexion greatly improved. It's clearer, fresher.
I'm delighted you think so.
Have you been using anything in particular?
No, nothing.
Just Gowland's lotion, I suppose.
No, Father, nothing at all.
Oh, I'm surprised by that. Still, you can't do better than go on as you are. You can't be better than well. Otherwise, I should recommend Gowland, the constant use of Gowland during the spring months.
Is it so very good, then?
Oh, an excellent preparation. Mrs. Clay's been using it on my recommendation. You can see what it's done for her.
Oh. Oh, I don't think I'd noticed.
What, haven't you seen how it's quite carried away all her freckles?
No. No, I must look again.
Oh, yes, they've almost gone. All due to my recommendation of Gowland. Very good stuff, Gowland.
Oh, Father, this our cousins have arrived.
Lady Dalrymple and the Honourable Miss Carteret.
What, here in Bath?
They arrived yesterday.
Well, we must introduce ourselves at once, of course.
Of course. Oh, you have met them, haven't you, Father?
Well, I was in company with the Viscount, the late Viscount, once. I never met the rest of the family. They always lived in Ireland, you know. I'm sorry to say there's been a most unfortunate lapse between us.
Oh, what do you mean?
It may make meeting them very awkward, I'm afraid. You see, when the Viscount died, a good many years ago now, I was very ill myself at the time, and by a most unfortunate oversight, no letter of condolence was sent.
Oh, dear. Yes, I see.
And when your mother died, Lady Dalrymple didn't write to me. Oh, it was all a long time ago, of course, but I fear they may consider the relationship closed.
Couldn't we do the same?
I don't quite know how to approach the matter.
No. No, it's very difficult.
I wonder what the best thing would be.
Mightn't it be more dignified to do nothing?
Oh, Anne, of course not. They're our cousins. Family connections should always be kept up.
Oh, yes, they are so very important.
Do you think it'd be sufficient if I left my card?
Well, Father, I don't know. It might seem a little...
Quite. Perhaps I'd better write them a letter?
I think that would be more proper.
Yes, I think our cousins the Dalrymples deserve a letter. I'll go and draft something.
I think we should send it as soon as possible, don't you?
Yes, it won't be an easy letter to write. I shall have to explain and regret. It won't be easy.
No, Father, but it's something that must be done. Our cousins the Dalrymples will expect it.
Yes. I'll go and do it now. It may take me some time. See that I'm not disturbed.
Oh, of course, Father.
How very exciting, Miss Elliot, to have such distinguished cousins here. Don't you think so, Miss Anne? No, Mrs. Clay, not very exciting.
Oh, we can't ignore our cousins, Anne, if that's what you would like.
I think I probably would, I'm afraid.
Does Mrs. Smith live here?
But you still haven't told me how you knew I was here. Our old governess heard about you. Did she indeed? Well, I can still hardly believe it. Was it 15 years ago we were at school together? Oh, I'm afraid it was. She told me about your husband. I am sorry. Yes, that was 2 years ago. I have no difficulty in remembering that. Are you quite alone here? Oh, yes. Have you no relations left at all? I only wish I had. My poor husband's affairs are far too complicated for me in my present state. I can't even get to the bedroom by myself, you know, since I had rheumatic fever. Oh, I am sorry. You seem to be managing wonderfully. Well, I have a great deal to be thankful for, you know. Mrs. Rook, that's the woman who let you in. She's been a great comfort. And now you're here. I'm really very fortunate. I admire your courage. Oh, I have more than I used to. I was a pitiable creature when I arrived, I'm afraid. I caught a cold on the journey and had to go straight to bed. And I knew no one at all then. But at least I was in good hands. I wish you'd let me know. Oh, no, certainly not. I wish you had. No. I'm not glad I've been ill, of course. But I don't altogether regret it. It's taught me a great deal. Oh, I can't think of what. Well, I've seen enough of the world not to expect very much of it. But my landlady's been extremely kind. And Mrs. Rook is simply excellent. How did you find her? She's my landlady's sister. She's been absolutely invaluable. Though I'm afraid she does like to gossip and know everyone else's business. Of course, I can hardly prevent her knowing all mine. No. Oh. You must find it very constricting not being able to go out at all. Well, I've lived in the world, Anne, in my time. I don't find I miss it. Perhaps there's not so much to miss. Well, if I'd had a child... But I didn't, and there's no point in complaining. And Mrs. Rook tells you all you want to know. Exactly. It's gossip, if you like, but she always has something entertaining for me. And often something profitable, too. Something to make me know my own species better. Well, that's the best justification for gossip there is. Oh, I like to know what's going on. To be au fait with the latest ways of being trifling and silly. Though I'm afraid it'll only be the trifling and silly she'll find for me in her new post. Oh? Where's she going? To a Mrs. Wallace in Marlborough Buildings. Colonel Wallace's wife? Yes, do you know her? No, but the Colonel is a great friend of my cousin, Mr. Elliot. Yes, I believe he is. Everyone says she's charming. Oh, that's not what I've heard. My sources say she's only a pretty, silly, expensive, fashionable woman. That all I'm likely to hear about is lace and finery. Oh. Well, let us hope your sources are wrong. I'm afraid they're not likely to be. But I mean to profit by her. She has plenty of money. And I plan for her to buy all these high-priced things I'm making. What are they? Oh, little thread cases and pin cushions and card racks. Nothing really. But they earn me just a little. And so I can help one or two of the very poor families in the neighbourhood. Mrs. Rook sells my merchandise for me, you see. Well, that is exceptional nursing. Well, it's being a nurse that makes her so good at it. She knows when and where to go. People are always generous when they've just recovered from some illness. She sounds very shrewd. Oh, she is. And there's so little real friendship in the world. So few people think seriously until it's almost too late. Well, perhaps I've spent too much time with people who make me think worse of the world than I should. Life hasn't been kind to you. Oh, but people have been. You are. Oh, I'm so glad to see you again, Anne.
Well, Father, I call that handsome of Lady Dalrymple. Very handsome indeed. Don't you, Mr. Elliot?
Yes, I do. It's a very generous gesture.
May I see the letter again, Father? Lady Dalrymple is very much honoured and will be happy in your acquaintance. Happy, she says.
Her handwriting's very poor.
The rich are always respectable, Anne, whatever their style of writing.
Oh, Miss Elliot, a carriage is stopping outside your door.
Oh, someone else we don't want to see, I expect.
Well, Sir Walter, Miss Elliot, I do believe it is your cousin.
What, Penelope? Oh, where? Where? Yes, it is. She's leaving her card.
Oh, yes.
Well, that's only proper. I left mine in Laura Place. Naturally, our cousins wish to return the compliment.
I'm ashamed, Lady Russell, simply ashamed.
You have no need to be, my dear.
They're not even agreeable people. There's nothing to them at all.
Don't be foolish, Anne. It is an acquaintance well worth having.
I don't see why.
Lady Dalrymple will be staying here for 3 months and living in style. When I was here last year, everyone said she was charming.
Oh, that only means that she smiles a lot and is civil.
And what is wrong with that?
Well, my self-respect has suffered anyway.
You're not being very sensible, Anne.
Oh, surely you agree with me, Mr. Elliot, that there's nothing to our cousins.
Well, not in themselves, perhaps. But as a family connection, as good company, as people who will collect good company around them, well, they will have their value.
They're not my idea of good company.
Ah, what he is.
Clever, well-informed people with a great deal of conversation.
Oh, then you're wrong. That's not good company. That's the best.
Quite right, sir.
Oh, for good company, all that's needed is birth, manners, and education. People aren't too particular about the education.
And that is exactly what I mean.
In good company, a little learning isn't dangerous. In fact, it will do very well. Ah, I see you're fastidious.
Well, I certainly hope I am.
Oh, my dear cousin. You have a better right to be fastidious than almost any woman I know. But will it make you happy?
Well, I don't see how not being fastidious will make me any happier.
But wouldn't it be wiser to accept the society of these good ladies, your cousins, and enjoy the advantages of the connection as much as possible?
But I don't see any advantages at all.
Oh, but I think you will. They will be moving in the highest society of Bath this winter, and rank is rank. People will know of your connection and give your family, our family, let me say, every consideration we could hope for.
Oh, everyone will know. There can be no doubt about that.
I don't understand your attitude, Anne.
Well, I think that far too much trouble has been taken to make the Dalrymples' acquaintance. And I am certainly too proud to like being welcomed solely for my social position.
Oh, I love your indignation. It's very natural. But you're here now, and the point of coming here surely was to establish your father with all the credit and dignity he ought to have.
Well, I suppose so.
Of course it is so, Anne.
You say you're proud. I'm called proud myself. I wouldn't wish it otherwise. Our prides are not so very different if you examine them.
No?
No. On one point at least, my dear cousin, I'm sure we feel the same. Every new friend your father makes, whether his equal or his superior, will help to divert his attention from those beneath him.
Yes, on that we can agree.
What, Anne, reading? What's the use of that? You'll only spoil your eyes. You should come with us, your cousins, the Dalrymples.
Yes, they asked after you.
Oh, how kind. How are they?
Not very well.
Lady Dalrymple has a cold.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But they've asked us to go there again this evening. We've accepted, of course.
Oh, I'm afraid that I can't go.
What? Why not?
I've arranged to spend this evening with an old school friend.
What old school friend? Where does she live?
In Westgate Buildings.
Westgate Buildings? And whom is Miss Anne Elliot to be visiting at Westgate Buildings?
Well, she was a Miss Hamilton. Now she's Mrs. Smith. She's a widow.
A widow, Mrs. Smith. And who was her husband?
Well, Mr. Smith.
Ha! One of the 5,000 Mr. Smiths whose name one sees everywhere, I suppose. And what is so attractive about this widow, Mrs. Smith?
She's a very old friend, and she's not at all well.
Oh, so her attraction is that she's old and sickly, is it?
Really, Anne?
Upon my word, Miss Anne Elliot, you have the most extraordinary taste. Everything that revolts other people. Low company, paltry rooms, foul air, disgusting associations you seem to find inviting.
Father, I have made the engagement.
Well, surely you can put this old lady off until tomorrow. She's not so near her end, I presume, that she can't hope to see another day. How old is she? 40?
No, she is not yet 31. And I cannot put her off because this evening is the only one that suits us both.
Oh, she's so very busy then, in spite of her illness.
She is going to the warm bath tomorrow, And as you know, we're engaged for the rest of the week.
What does Lady Russell think of this acquaintance, I wonder?
She sees nothing wrong in it. Indeed, she approves. In fact, it is she who has generally taken me there.
Indeed. Well, you've certainly kept this friend of yours secret. Perhaps we should be grateful.
Westgate Buildings must have been rather surprised to see a carriage drawn up to its pavement. Sir Henry Russell's widow, of course, has no honours to distinguish her arms. Still, it's a handsome equipage.
Oh, well, Father.
Well, it's well known to convey a Miss Elliot in any case.
I don't expect so, Father.
Of course it is, Anne.
A widow, Mrs. Smith, lodging at Westgate Buildings. A poor widow barely able to live between 30 and 40. A mere Mrs. Smith, an everyday Mrs. Smith. Of all people and all names in the world to be the chosen friend of Miss Anne Elliot.
Yes, Father, that is what she is.
Preferred by her to her own family connections amongst the nobility of England and Ireland. Mrs. Smith, what a name. Yes, what is it?
A letter for Miss Anne, sir.
For me?
With the compliments of Admiral and Mrs. Croft, miss.
Oh, thank you.
Hey, what's that? The Crofts arrived in Bath. The Crofts of Rent Kellynch. What have they brought you?
A letter from Mary, sir.
Oh, how nice.
Ah, letters are very convenient passports. They secure an introduction.
Quite, Father.
Though I'd have visited Admiral Croft anyway, I know what's due to my tenant.
And what is the news of Mrs. Charles and her two fine little boys, Miss Anne?
Well, she says they had a very dull Christmas.
How is Mary? And pray, what brings the Crofts to Bath?
Well, they've come for the Admiral. They think he's gouty.
Ha! Gout and decrepitude, poor old gentleman.
Well, do they know anyone here?
I imagine the Admiral has many friends, don't you?
I suspect that Admiral Croft will be best known in Bath as the man who rents Kellynch Hall.
Oh, undoubtedly, Sir Walter.
How many horses did he travel with?
Oh, I don't know, Father.
Oh. Do you think we might venture to present them to Lady Dalrymple, Elizabeth?
Oh, no, Father, I think not. We must be very careful not to introduce our cousins to anyone they might not approve of.
No, quite.
If we weren't related, it would be different, but we are. Lady Dalrymple might feel scrupulous about anyone she'd met through us. Now, I think we should leave the Crofts to find their own level.
Yes, yes. There are several odd-looking men walking about here who, I'm told, are sailors. Let the Crofts associate with them.
Oh, quite.
Oh, is there any news, Miss Anne?
Not unless it is in the postscript. I've never been so astonished in my life.
Well, it's certainly a surprise.
Louise are engaged to Captain Benwick. No one ever suspected it at all. And Mr. Musgrove has given his consent. Captain Benwick is staying at Uppercross already.
Well, and you told me Louisa was in love with Captain Wentworth.
Yes, I know. Everyone thought so.
And wasn't this Captain Benwick supposed to be inconsolable over the death of Miss Harville?
Oh, well, I never quite believed that. But this is extraordinary. I can't think how it happened. Well, Louisa's so high-spirited, and Captain Benwick, well, he's thoughtful and sensitive.
Well, Anne, I think it's time you followed Louisa's example and found a thoughtful, sensitive man for yourself.
Oh, I would if I could. But who?
You can hardly be unaware of Mr. Elliot's admiration for you.
Mr. Elliot? But he's in mourning for his wife.
Not for very much longer. And if you should feel disposed to accept him, it would be a most suitable match.
Oh, no, no. But Mr. Elliot is very agreeable, and I think very highly of him in many respects, but we wouldn't suit each other.
Well, you must know your own mind, of course. But I should be very pleased to see you as the future mistress of Kellynch, the future Lady Elliot.
Lady Elliot?
You would take your dear mother's place.
Oh, no. No, I could never do that. Lady Elliot? Oh, no. No, I could never accept.
What have you against him?
I don't know. His past, perhaps.
But, Anne, he's a changed man.
Is he? We don't know that, do we?
We can tell from the way he behaves.
Oh, yes, his manners are perfect, but he's not open. He's too discreet. He never seems to feel strongly about anything.
Discretion is usually thought to be a virtue.
Yes, I know, but I like people who are frank and eager and open-hearted. Mr. Elliot never says a hasty word. I don't trust people who never do that.
Well, Anne, I must say your attitude, I find it rather strange, my dear.
Mr. Elliot is too agreeable. That's his trouble. He pleases everyone. Even Mrs. Clay.
How are you, Admiral?
Ah, it is you? Thank you. Thank you. Good morning. This is treating me like a friend.
Well, I hope I am one. What are you looking at?
Well, the doctor has ordered me to walk about to keep off the gout, and I can never get past this window without stopping.
What is it that attracts you so much?
You see this thing here by way of a boat? Do look at it. Did you ever see the like?
Is there something wrong with it?
Indeed there is. Just look at it. I wouldn't venture over a horse pond in it. Well, now, where are you bound? Can I go anywhere for you or with you? Can I be of any use?
No, thank you. Unless you give me the pleasure of your company a little way. I'm going home.
Then won't you come in and see Sophie for a minute? She would like that, and it's not out of your way.
What a very nice idea.
I'm so sorry, Sophie doesn't seem to be here. I could have sworn she said she wasn't going out this morning.
Never mind.
But you've heard the news about Benwick? Isn't it extraordinary?
I was absolutely amazed. But of course he's a very pleasant young man.
Well, there's nothing to be said against James Benwick. He's only a commander, of course. This peace had a bad time for getting on, but he's an excellent, good-hearted fellow and a very active, zealous officer, too, which you might not think from that soft sort of manner of his.
Oh, no, I thought he was very agreeable.
Well, ladies are the best judges, of course. But he's rather too piano for me. Sophie and I can't help thinking that Frederick's manners are better than his.
Oh, I didn't mean to enter into any comparison between them, Admiral.
Well, anyway, the thing is certainly true. It's not a mere bit of gossip. We have it from Frederick himself.
Oh, I hope there is nothing in the letter to make you at all uneasy.
What do you mean?
Well, it did seem last autumn as though there was a very definite attachment between Louisa and him.
Oh, indeed there did.
I hope Captain Wentworth does not feel ill-used.
Oh, no, not at all. It's not an oath or murmur from beginning to end. Though, no, of course, we did think that she was going to marry him.
Oh, good. It would be sad if their friendship was spoiled by something like this.
No, he would never guess from the way he writes that he'd ever thought of this Miss... what's her name?
Louisa.
Louisa, yes. No, he would never guess that he'd ever thought of her for himself at all. No, he very handsomely hopes that they will be happy together. There's nothing unforgiving in that, I think.
I'm very glad to hear it.
But, poor Frederick. Now he's got to begin all over again with someone else.
Yes. Yes, I suppose he has.
We must get him to Bath. Sophie must write and beg him to come and join us. There are pretty girls enough here, I'm sure. And there's no point in his going back to Uppercross for, that other Miss Musgrove. What's her name?
Henrietta.
Henrietta, yes. She, it seems, is bespoke by her cousin, that young parson.
Charles Hayter.
Something like that. So there are no girls left there for Frederick.
No. No, there aren't either.
Don't you think, Miss Elliot, that we'd better try to get him to come here?
Yes, I do. I think it's an admirable idea.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, I do hope we don't have to wait too long. Well, I don't see anyone we know.
I expect it'll stop raining soon anyway.
Do you? But the pavements will still be very wet. Oh, no. I think it would be best if we took Lady Dalrymple's carriage.
There won't be room for all of us. I shall walk.
But my boots are much thicker than yours, Miss Anne. And it's hardly raining at all.
I should like to walk, if I may. I'm sure Mr. Elliot would escort me.
No. Honestly, I prefer walking.
But so do I.
Oh, but you do have a little bit of a cold, Penelope. I don't think you should go walking on wet pavements.
But my boots are so thick, really.
No thicker than mine, you know. And I have no cold at all. I wonder if it has stopped raining yet.
Oh, it doesn't look like it.
I can't see properly from this window. I'll just go and look.
Oh, I think you'll be dry enough in here. Miss Elliot. But of course, I knew you were in Bath.
Yes. Have you just arrived?
Last night. How very good to see you again. So soon.
Yes. I was just going to see if the rain had stopped.
Oh, no, it hasn't. Not yet. Excuse me. Well, I needn't ask if you're feeling well, Miss Elliot. I can see it for myself.
Thank you. You're looking very well yourself.
I've been staying with my brother in Shropshire.
Yes. Admiral Croft told me.
Did he tell you the news from Uppercross?
About Louisa? And Captain Benwick? Yes. I was very surprised.
No more than I was, I assure you. Oh, I see you're with your sister.
Yes.
Well, I'm delighted, of course. For Louisa, I mean. And for James, too.
So am I. I hope they will be very happy.
Yes, of course. So do I.
Lady Dalrymple for Miss Elliot.
Oh, I thought she'd never come.
Are you left behind, Miss Elliot?
Oh, I prefer walking, honestly.
Can I be of any service to you?
I'm much obliged, but really not.
Are you going to walk in the rain?
Oh, it's very little. It's nothing, really.
Although I only arrived yesterday, I'm already properly equipped for Bath, you see.
Yes. You're very wise. You will need it.
I wish you'd use it if you're really going to walk. Though I think it would be more prudent to let me get you a chair.
Oh, no, really not. Thank you. It will soon stop. I'm just waiting for my cousin, Mr. Elliot. He will be here at any moment.
Oh. The one we failed to introduce ourselves to in Lyme.
Exactly. Are you going to the concert tomorrow?
I'm so sorry to keep you waiting, Miss Elliot. The rain has eased off for a moment. I think we should go at once before it starts getting worse again.
Oh, yes, thank you. Good morning, Captain Wentworth.
Good morning, Miss Elliot. Well, we're in very good time, I think.
Oh, but so water you always are.
I hope so.
How do you do, Captain Wentworth?
Why, Miss Elliot. Good evening.
The weather has been very sad since you arrived.
Oh, I never let the weather bother me. Unless I'm at sea.
How do you like Bath so far?
Oh, it seems perfectly delightful.
I'm told the singer tonight is very good.
Is he? I'm afraid I've never heard of him before.
Well, nor had I until yesterday.
I've hardly seen you since our day at Lyme. I'm afraid you must have suffered very much from the shock of the accident.
No, I was upset, of course, as everyone was, but nothing more.
It was a frightful moment. Frightful day. However, the day did have some effects, some consequences which are not frightful at all.
Yes, I know.
When you had the presence of mind to send Benwick for the surgeon, you could hardly have guessed the important part he would play in Louisa's recovery.
Indeed, I did not. But it seems... I think it will be a happy match, don't you?
Yes. Yes, they're very fortunate. They have no difficulties to cope with at home, no opposition from parents, no caprice or delays.
No, so I understand.
All this is very much in favor of their happiness. More than... But I must confess, I do think there's a great disparity there, between their minds, I mean.
Well...
Louisa's a very amiable, sweet-tempered girl and not stupid. And Benwick's something more. He's a clever man, a man of real feeling.
Yes, I know.
A man like that in his situation with a heart almost broken. Fanny Harvard was a very superior woman, you know. And his attachment to her was an attachment indeed.
So I have heard people say.
Man does not recover from such a devotion to such a woman. He ought not to. He does not.
Good evening, Lady Dalrymple. Very good to see you again.
You must excuse me, sir. This is my party.
Of course. Perhaps I'll see you in the concert room.
Oh, I hope so.
Oh, my dear cousin, how are you this evening?
Shall we go in?
Oh, I think so. Miss Elliot, left alone?
Ritorna mia bene in braccio gitana, mi pace quest'alma per sempre godrò, mi pace quest'alma per sempre godrò, per sempre godrò. Sempre godrò, per sempre, per sempre, per sempre, per sempre godrò.
Did you like that song?
Oh, yes, I thought it was very pretty.
Oh, it was. But I couldn't admire it as much as I should. You see, I didn't understand a word of it.
Oh, well, this is what he was saying. My heart finds no peace away from my dear beloved. There remains only pain to lacerate my breast. Return, my beloved, to the arms which love you, and peace will delight my soul forever.
Is that all? Doesn't seem very much for such a long song.
Well, he says it all several times. But that's more or less the sense of it, or rather the meaning of the words. One mustn't talk of sense in an Italian love song.
Oh, indeed not.
But that's as near to the meaning as I can give you. I don't pretend to understand the language. I'm a very poor Italian scholar.
Oh, yes, I see you are. I see you know nothing of the matter at all. You only understand it well enough to translated sights, these inverted, transposed, curtailed Italian lines into clear, comprehensible, elegant English.
Oh.
You need say nothing more of your ignorance. That was complete proof.
Well, I never refuse such polite kindness, sir, but I would be sorry to be examined by an expert.
Oh, my dear cousin. I've not had the pleasure of visiting in Camden Place so often without finding out something about Miss Anne Elliot. And I must tell you, I think she is far too modest for the world in general and too highly accomplished for modesty to be natural in any other woman.
For shame. This is too much flattery.
Besides, perhaps I've known about you longer than you think.
Oh? Well, how, pray? Unless you heard my family mention me, you cannot have known about me before I came to Bath.
I heard about you by report long before that. I'd heard you described by an intimate friend.
Oh?
I know all about you for years. Looks, character, accomplishments, everything.
But how? Who told you?
Aha.
Oh, you must tell me.
Not now. Some other time, perhaps, but not now.
That's not fair.
No, the fairness is all on your side.
You're making it all up.
Perfectly true, I assure you.
You can assure me as much as you like, but unless you say who told you these things, I shan't believe a word of it.
You may believe it or not as you choose. Many years ago, I heard such a description of you that I've wanted to meet you ever since.
Respiri il suo cor, respiri il suo cor, respiri il suo cor.
I hope you're enjoying the concert.
Oh, very much. And you?
I confess I'm a little disappointed.
Oh, why?
I'd hoped the singing would be better.
Don't you like the tenor, then?
Not very much. To tell you the truth, I shall not be sorry when it's all over.
Oh, that's too harsh. There's always some pleasure to be got from music. The orchestra is not bad, surely.
No, I suppose not. You're very good at finding reasons for enjoying things.
Oh, I have so few opportunities of listening to good music. I'm not at all a good judge.
Oh, you mustn't say that.
It's true, I'm afraid. But however bad the performance, I always try to imagine how good it ought to be. I don't really listen properly at all.
You're even cleverer than I thought. That means you listen twice at the same time.
All I was trying to say was that even though you're probably quite right about the singer, I'm still enjoying the concert.
Oh, you shame me. I must try to be imaginative like you. Then perhaps I shall enjoy everything.
I beg your pardon, Miss Elliot. We must apply to you again to know what this next song is about.
Mr. Elliot says you're so good at Italian.
Let me see. It's another love song.
Ah, it's more pain and grief, I suppose.
I'm afraid so, yes. Sweet hope now returns to my soul and calm to my sad heart. You, dear damsel, who have put so much trust in me, I suppose, you will find one man faithful in love.
Oh, it's a happy one, then.
Yes, it seems to be. My heart is content with its dear object, which will shine forever in my breast.
How charming. Is that all?
Yes.
Quite enough. Who could ask for more than content in the dear object of his heart? Thank you, my dear cousin.
Yes, thank you, Anne.
I must wish you good night, Miss Elliot.
Aren't you staying for the rest of the concert?
No, I must be going. I must get home as soon as possible.
Oh, but surely this next song is worth staying for?
No. There is nothing worth staying for here. For me.
Miss Elliot. Good morning.
Good morning, Mrs. Rook.
Well, Miss Elliot, we weren't expecting you.
But I said yesterday that I was coming this morning, Mrs. Rook.
I know you did. I know you did. Look, Ma, Miss Elliot has come after all.
Good morning. I don't understand what Mrs. Rook means. I said yesterday that I was coming, so of course I have come.
And I'm very grateful. We really weren't expecting you.
But why not?
Oh, we know all about the concert last night, Miss Elliot.
Oh, I was afraid you would. There can't be very much left for me to tell you.
Oh, I bet there is.
Well, I enjoyed myself very much. Although some people were dissatisfied with the singing.
But not with other things?
Not at all. The orchestra really played quite well, I thought.
Oh, the orchestra, we don't want to hear about that. We want to know who was there.
Oh, well, everybody, I suppose. I saw Miss Atkinson there, I think.
And the little Durrans, with their mouths open to catch the music, like unfledged sparrows waiting to be fed. They never miss a concert.
Well, I didn't see them myself, but Mr. Elliot said he saw them.
Did he now?
You saw enough for your own amusement, I dare say.
Why, of course you did, Ma'am.
You didn't have to tell me you had a pleasant evening. I could see it in your eye.
Oh, yes.
I can see how you spent your time. Between the songs, there was conversation. There was always something agreeable to listen to.
You could see all that in my eye.
My dear, I can tell that last night you were the person you find the most agreeable in the world. The person who interests you more at the moment than all the rest of the world put together.
Oh, this is no place for me, I can see. Excuse me.
I really do appreciate your kindness in coming here this morning, Anne. You must have so many much more pleasant demands on your time.
But how did you know?
Ah. Tell me, is Mr. Elliot aware that you know me? I mean, does he know that I'm in Bath?
Mr. Elliot? Do you know Mr. Elliot?
Well, I used to know him quite well, but it's a long time since we last met.
You never told me. If you had, I would have talked to him about you.
Well, to tell you the truth, that's exactly what I want you to do. Talk to him about me. He can be very useful to me, you see. And of course, if you ask him anything, it is done.
Oh, I am only his cousin, you know. I have no great influence or claim over him.
Oh, I beg your pardon. I've been a little premature, I see. I should have waited for official information. But tell me, as an old friend, when may I speak? Next week?
No, not next week, nor the week after. I am not going to marry Mr. Elliot. I should really rather like to know why you imagine I am.
Well, all men are refused until they offer, of course.
But Mr. Elliot has never even dreamed of offering. And if he ever does, I certainly shan't accept him, I assure you.
No?
No. It was not Mr. Elliot whose presence gave me so much. I simply can't understand whatever gave you such an idea.
Well, it was Nurse Rook. She got it all from Mrs. Wallace, who seemed a very good authority.
Well, I'm sorry to disappoint you, but Mrs. Wallace is quite wrong.
Well?
Of course, I shall still be very happy to help you in any way I can with Mr. Elliot. You said you've known him a long time.
Yes, yes, I have.
Since before he was married?
Yes.
Well, do tell me what he was like then. Was he anything like he is now?
Well, I haven't seen him for 3 years. I'm very sorry. I don't know what to do. I don't want to seem officious or mischief-making.
You know I would never think that.
I think you should know what Mr. Elliot is really like.
What?
He's a man without heart or conscience. He thinks of no one but himself. He has no feelings for other people whatever. Forgive me. Mr. Elliot was the intimate friend of my dear husband. He trusted and loved him and thought him as good as himself.
Yes?
Oh, yes. Mr. Elliot was poor in those days, but he always had a home with us when he wanted it.
That must be About the time that he met my father and Elizabeth in London. He did something unworthy then. I don't know what it was, but he slighted my father at a time when my father was prepared to be perfectly kind to him.
Oh, he wanted to be rich, to marry money, not wait to inherit it. He thought your father wanted him to marry Elizabeth, but that wouldn't give him his freedom.
So he married... His wife was a very low woman, they say.
Yes, but money was all he was after. Her father was a grazier, her grandfather a butcher, and he didn't mind. All he cared about was her fortune. As to the honour of his family, well, he used to say that if baronetcies were for sale, anyone could have his for £50. Arms, motto, name and livery included. I can give you full proof. You see that inlaid box on the desk there? Would you give it to me?
Yes, of course.
Thank you. This is the letter Mr. Elliot wrote to my poor husband before we were married. Here it is. You'd better read it yourself.
Dear Smith, your kindness almost overpowers me. I wish nature had made such hearts as yours more common. At present, believe me, I have no need of your services, being in cash again.
Oh, my husband lent him so much.
Give me joy. I have got rid of Sir Walter and Miss Elliot. They have gone back to Kellynch and almost made me swear to visit them this summer. This is quite true. We expected him, but he never came.
Go on, Anne.
But my first visit to Kellynch will be with a surveyor to tell me how I can bring it under the hammer to the best advantage. Oh, it's too much.
There's more.
The baronet is even worse than last year. I wish I had any name but Elliot. I am sick of it.
I thought you should see it. It shows you the man.
Yes. Thank you. This proves that everything you've said is true. Except, why does he want to know us now?
Oh, he really does want to marry you, it seems. He's quite sincere about it.
How do you know all this? You haven't seen him for 3 years, you said.
No, but Colonel Wallis sees him every day, and Mr. Elliot tells him everything. And Colonel Wallis tells Mrs. Wallis.
Mrs. Rook. I see.
There's another thing, too.
Well, what is it?
Mrs. Clay, your sister's friend.
Mrs. Clay? Well, what has she to do with it?
I'm told she has every intention of marrying your father if she can.
Well, yes. I think that is probably true.
Your sister may not realize it, but other people do. And Mr. Elliot is older now than he was when he wrote this. He has the greatest respect for titles and connections these days. He has all the money he wants already.
Is this true?
Oh, yes. He's set his heart on being Sir William now. And of course, if your father marries again, well, Mr. Elliot may have to remain Mr. for the rest of his life.
I see.
Mrs. Wallis has an amusing idea. That it's to be put into your marriage articles with Mr. Elliot that your father is never to marry Mrs. Clay.
I don't find that very funny.
Well, as Mrs. Rook says, it wouldn't stop him marrying someone else, would it?
What a very silly woman Mrs. Wallis must be.
Well,
I'm very glad you told me all this. I shall know exactly how to behave to Mr. Elliot in future.
I thought you should know.
But you still haven't told me how I could help you.
Oh, it's very simple. Once Mr. Elliot was married, he was rich. And he led my husband into expenses far beyond his means.
I see.
Fortunately, he died before he knew the whole story. He made Mr. Elliot his executor.
And what has he done?
Nothing. That's the trouble. He's refused to act. Look, here's one of his letters. refuses to help me at all, you see. That's his notion of gratitude.
Then why did you praise him to me?
What else could I do? I thought it was all arranged. I couldn't tell you the truth if you were engaged to him.
I think you should have done.
He didn't love his first wife. I thought he did love you. And if you loved him, well, I thought you might do better.
Well, I hope I shall.
Ah. And you still haven't told me why I was wrong. Who is he, Anne?
Ask Mrs. Rook. Can I do anything for you while I'm out, Elizabeth?
Oh, are you going out too?
Yes.
Well, you might have said so earlier. You could have saved Penelope the trouble of going to Collett's for me, but it's too late now. She's gone.
Well, I'm really only going to see Lady Russell. Can I give her any message?
No. Just my love.
And mine. Their kindest regards. Say, I'll call on her one day soon, won't you?
I didn't know you were planning to call on her, Father.
Why not? I shall only leave my card.
Oh, I see.
A morning visit isn't fair in a woman of her age who makes herself up so little. If only she'd wear some rouge, she wouldn't need to be so afraid of being seen.
Oh, is she afraid?
Oh, yes. Last time I called, the blinds were lowered immediately.
Oh, I wonder who that is.
Mr. Elliot, I expect. He comes at all hours.
Oh, Anne, you know perfectly well Mr. Elliot's gone to Thornbury Park. He won't be back in Bath till our party tomorrow evening.
It's just someone else, I dare say, who wants to know us. And who we don't want to know.
Mr. and Mrs. Charles Musgrove.
Oh.
Mary! Oh,
Mary! You weren't Mary.
No, we were not. Mary.
How are you, sir?
Very well indeed, sir.
And you, Elizabeth?
Very well. Why didn't you tell us you were coming?
There was no point in writing. Besides, we weren't sure we were coming or who was coming with us till the day before yesterday.
Oh, so you're a party, are you?
Well, Mrs. Musgrove, Henrietta, Captain Harville and us, if you can call that a party.
We're here to buy wedding clothes for Henrietta and Louisa.
I see. Where are you staying?
At the White Hart.
Oh, good. I was afraid... Well, we could hardly put you all up here, I'm afraid, much though we would have liked to, of course.
I wish you could, Elizabeth. Our drawing room at the inn isn't nearly so handsome as this.
Well, I dare say not.
This is only half of it, Mary. Do come and see the rest.
Oh, dear. Bath. I never like it. But it's good to see you again, Anne.
and you. But did you say that you had come to buy clothes for Henrietta and Louisa?
Oh, yes.
Then can Charles Hayter afford to marry?
Yes, he has a temporary living. He and Henrietta will be getting married at about the same time as Louisa and James Benwick.
Oh, how very nice. And where is the living? Is it anywhere near Uppercross?
Not far, about 25 miles.
Oh, I am glad this has happened. Henrietta and Louisa have always been such good friends. I really am glad.
Well, it's a very fair match for nowadays. And I've liked Charles all my life.
You're all very lucky, you know. Your parents have never been interested in anything except your happiness. But is Louisa fully recovered again now?
Oh, yes. Well, I think so. She's recovered physically, I mean. But, well, she seems to have altered.
Oh?
Well, you remember how she used to run around and jump about and laugh and dance. Well, there's no more of that. If you so much as shut the door a little too hard, she starts and wriggles like a young dab chick in the water.
Really?
Yes, and Benwick sits there reading poetry to her and whispering things into her ear all day long. I don't know.
Well, you wouldn't like that, I know.
Oh, Benwick's a good fellow, really. As a matter of fact, I've got to know him better recently. We had a splendid set-to last Monday, rat hunting in my father's great barn. He did very well.
What are you laughing at, Anne? Charles, have you ever seen such china?
Hmm? Oh, yes. Yes, very fine. Very fine indeed. And the mirrors. What a lot of mirrors.
Yes,
We're rather pleased with the house ourselves.
Oh, I do wish we had a beautiful place like this, Charles.
Oh, it's no bigger than Uppercross Cottage, really, is it?
Oh, Charles.
I do hope you can all come to our party tomorrow evening.
Yes, Elizabeth, we'd love to.
Happy to.
I'm so glad. Our cousins, Lady Dalrymple and Miss Carteret, will be here.
Oh, how exciting. I do so want to meet them. Isn't that exciting, Charles?
Oh, yes, very, very. Well, sir, we only came to let you know we were here. We really ought to be getting back now, if you'll excuse us.
Of course, my boy, of course.
Did you say that Mrs. Musgrove will be there too?
Yes.
Oh,
I expect
then
so.
may I come with you? I should so like to see her again.
Capital. Come along, Mary. We'll see you and Elizabeth later then, sir.
Indeed, indeed.
Goodbye, Elizabeth.
Goodbye, Elizabeth. Goodbye, sir.
Goodbye, Charles. Well, I thought it best to ask them for an evening, Father, rather than to dinner. So few people give dinner parties here. And besides, they'll be meeting our cousin, Lady Dalrymple.
Quite the widow of a viscount. They'll give them something to talk about when they get home. They'll boast about that at Uppercross, you may be sure.
Exactly. I don't think we need do anything more for them, do you?
No, certainly not.
No.
Yes, Miss Anne. The living came at just the right moment.
I'm so happy for you, Henrietta.
Oh, I know you are, Anne. Well, you've always been so understanding. Well, now you're going to have to spend your whole time with us. Well, you must tell us where to go and what to do and who to see, everything.
I'll try. But the last time I bought wedding clothes for anyone, one was when Charles and Mary got married.
What are you saying about me? Have you seen our view, Anne? We're just opposite the pub room. Look.
Well, so you are. How very convenient.
We can see the whole of fashionable Bath without stirring an inch.
Here we are.
Oh, Captain Wentworth. I'm so glad Charles managed to find you.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
Miss Musgrove?
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Captain Wentworth. How are you?
Very well, thank you, ma'am. Good morning, Miss Elliot.
Good morning, sir.
Mrs. Musgrove, I must know, how is Louisa?
Oh, quite recovered now, thank heavens.
Thank heavens indeed.
Well, I suppose you and Captain Wentworth must have seen a good deal of each other in Bath.
Well, a little, yes.
Yeah. Come back quickly.
Why, what is it?
Oh, there's Mrs. Clay standing under the colonnade.
Mrs. Clay? Oh, your sister's friend.
Yes. There's a gentleman with her. They just came round the corner from Bath Street. They seem very deep in talk.
Oh?
And you come and tell me who it is. Good heavens, I know who it is. It's our cousin, Mr. Elliot.
Oh. Oh, no, it can't be Mary. Mr. Elliot left Bath this morning.
But it is. Are you telling me I can't recognise the family features? Of course it's Mr. Elliot.
And I'm sure you could tell us for certain, eh?
Yes, come and see for yourself, then. But quickly, they're parting. There.
Yes, you're quite right, Mary. He must have changed his plans. Or else I misunderstood them. I wasn't really listening properly.
Mother, I've done something that's going to make you very pleased with me.
Oh?
I've got a box for the theatre for tomorrow night. Now, aren't I a good boy?
Good heavens, Charles, how could you think of such a thing? Have you forgotten we said we'd go to my father's tomorrow?
Oh, but if there's a
We've
choice...
been asked specially, Mrs. Musgrove, to meet our cousins, Lady Dalrymple and Miss Carteret and Mr. Elliot. It's all the principal family connections. I don't know what Charles was thinking of.
What's an evening party? Nothing ever worth remembering. If your father had really wanted to see us, he should have asked us to dinner.
Mrs. Musgrove, I appeal to you.
Yes, well, we better put the play off, Charles.
There.
You better change the box to Tuesday. We don't want to be divided. And if there's a party at her father's tonight, Miss Anne won't be able to come to the play, will she? And I'm sure neither Henrietta nor I would like it if Miss Anne wasn't there.
You're very kind, Mum. If I were free to choose for myself, I'd much rather go to the theatre. I don't really like evening parties. But as Mary seems so anxious to go.
Thank you.
Well, I'll get you all another box for Tuesday. But I shall still go to the theatre tomorrow night myself.
Charles, you will not.
Oh, I most certainly shall.
No.
Mary, I do believe Charles may be teasing you.
What? Oh, Charles, you are.
You're so gullible, Mary. You believe anything.
I see you still haven't been in Bath long enough to get a taste for its social life, Miss Elliot.
Oh, and I hope I never shall. Parties mean nothing to me, usually. I don't play cards, you know.
No. No. You never did, I remember now. You used not to like cards. But time makes many changes. It is a long time indeed. 8.5 years is a long time.
Yes, Penelope, everyone we want is coming. Yes, Miss Elliot. Lady Dalrymple and Miss Carteret.
Lady Russell.
Mrs. Musgrove and Henrietta.
Oh, you've forgotten Mr. Elliot? I'm sure Miss Anne hasn't.
Oh? No, I counted him already. He's almost part of the family. Oh, I do so like to see him and my father together. He looks at Sir Walter with such respect.
Oh, delightful. Just like a son to his father. Oh, dear Miss Elliot, may I not say a son to his father?
Oh, Penelope, if you will have such ideas.
Oh, Mrs. Clay, I was so surprised this morning. I thought Mr. Elliot was at Thornbury, but I could have sworn that I saw him with you.
Yeah, oh, dear, very true.
What's this, Penelope?
I meant to tell you, Miss Elliot. I met him in Bath Street. I was never more astonished in my life. He turned back and he walked with me to the pump room.
Oh. Well, what made him change his plans?
Oh, something or other stopped him getting off when he meant to. I forget what. I was in a hurry and not paying much attention. Besides, all he talked about was getting back in time for your party.
Oh, did he?
Yes. He was most anxious to know how early he could come tomorrow. He was full of tomorrow.
Well, but why didn't you tell me this before, Penelope?
I was so full of tomorrow myself that I forgot all about it.
Oh, good morning, Miss Anne.
Good morning, Mrs. Musgrove. Good morning, Mum.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Bonnie.
Mary and Henrietta will be back in a moment. Do sit down, my dear. There'll only be a moment.
I'll write that letter now, Father.
Well, ma'am, then Mr. Musgrove and my brother Hayter met again to talk it all over, you see, and the young people would not be denied.
Well, I can understand that. After all, Mr. Hayter isn't so very young, is he?
Oh, they were quite wild about it, you know, and we thought it'd be better than a long engagement.
That's just what I was going to say. It's good for young people to have to struggle a little together on a small income. Much better than a long engagement.
Oh, my dear Mrs. Croft, there is nothing I abominate more than a long engagement.
Look at this, Miss Elliot.
What is it?
A portrait. Do you know who that is?
It's Captain Benwick.
Right, so you can guess who it's for.
Louisa?
Naturally. But it wasn't done for her.
Oh?
No, Benwick met some clever young German at the Cape. Sat to him for my poor sister. She wanted a picture of him, you see.
Yes, of course.
Do you know what he wants me to do now? Get it set properly for Louisa.
I'm really rather shocked that he should be so insensitive.
Yes, well, I'm not sorry to hand the task over to someone else, I can tell you. Wentworth's writing about it now.
Oh, I see.
Poor Fanny. She wouldn't have forgotten him so soon.
No, I can well believe that.
No, it wasn't in her nature. She doted on him, you know.
It wouldn't be in the nature of any woman who truly loved.
Do you claim so much for your sex?
Well, certainly. We don't forget men as soon as you forget us. We can't help ourselves. We live at home, quiet and confined. We have so much time to let our feelings prey on us.
Do you imagine men's feelings don't prey on them?
Oh, but men are always doing things. You have your professions and occupations. There's always some business or other to take you back again into the world at once. No, your feelings aren't as strong as ours.
Well, I believe the opposite. I believe there's a real correspondence between our minds and our bodies. Just as men have stronger bodies than women, so they have stronger feelings, too.
Ah, then if our bodies are weaker, you must grant that our feelings are tenderer. They're more susceptible.
Perhaps.
No, there's no question about it. You don't know what it is to feel like a woman, and it would be too much for you if you did.
Too much?
Oh, yes. Men have so many physical difficulties to struggle with in their lives. If they had to struggle, as we do, with feelings as well, it would be too much altogether.
Well, we shall never agree, Oh, have you finished that letter, Wentworth?
Not quite. Just a few lines more. I shall be done in 5 minutes.
Well, there's no hurry on my side. I'm in very good anchorage here. We shall never agree, I'm afraid.
Perhaps no man or woman ever could.
Let me at least try to persuade you. All history's against you, you know. And all literature, prose and verse.
No proofs from literature. Men have always had every advantage in giving their side of the story.
Oh, now, why do you say that?
Because it's true. Men have always had a much better education than women. Their hand has held the pen, not ours. No, I won't allow you any proof from books.
Well, then where shall we find proof?
Nowhere.
I do believe you're trying to get out of it.
Oh, no. Women lead quiet lives. Their knowledge is drawn from their observation of their own little circle. If I were to give you my proof, I would be betraying confidences.
Ah, yes, I see. Well, if you put it like that, of course.
We must simply agree to differ.
Well, but if I only could make you understand how a man suffers when he takes his last look at his wife and children, when he watches the boat that he sent them away in for as long as he can still see it, and then when he turns away and says, God knows whether we shall ever meet again.
Oh, I think I do understand. The only privilege I claim for my own sex, and it's not a very enviable one, you needn't covet it, is that of loving longest, when life or hope are gone.
You're a good soul. I shan't quarrel with you. And when I think of Benwick, well, my tongue is tied.
Well, Frederick, you and I part company here, I think.
What? What?
Well, I'm going home, and you have an engagement with your friend.
Oh, yes. Yes, we separate here.
We shall all meet again at your party, Miss Elliot. We had your sister's card yesterday.
I'm so glad you were coming.
And Frederick's coming too, I think, aren't you, Frederick?
Yes, very true. What, are you going?
Haven't you heard a word I've said?
Well, Harville and I will soon be after you. That is, if you're ready, Harville. Yes. I'll only be half a minute. I know you want to be off. I shall only be half a minute.
Goodbye, Mrs. Musgrave. Goodbye.
Well, Miss Elliot, I shall try to persuade you some more this evening.
Oh, I think I was only saying that perhaps Captain Benwick does not have a mind to affliction.
Ah, perhaps so. Perhaps so. Let's go, Harville. Well, very well. Well, goodbye, Miss Elliot. Mrs. Musgrove?
Sir?
And God bless you.
I beg your pardon, ma'am. I forgot my gloves.
By all means, by all means. I don't know where Mary and Henrietta can be, my dear.
It's all right, Mama. I'll just wait here by the...
That's right. Amuse yourself, my dear.
I can listen in silence no longer. I must speak to you as I can. You pierce my soul. I'm half agony, half hope. Don't tell me I'm too late, that such precious feelings have gone forever.
Too late?
I offer myself to you again with a heart which is even more your own than when you almost broke it 8.5 years ago. Never say that men forget sooner than women, that their love is the first to die. I have never loved anyone but you. I may have been unjust, I may have been weak and resentful, but never inconstant. I only came to Bath because of you. I think and plan only for you. Have you not seen this? Can you fail to understand what I want? I would not have waited even these last 10 days to speak if I only could have guessed your feelings, as I'm sure you have guessed mine.
I will only be a moment, my dear. I must just go and post this. Well, bless me.
Oh, I can hardly write. Every moment you say something which overwhelms me. Your voice sinks, but I can hear every syllable when others cannot. Oh, you are too good, too excellent. You do us justice indeed. You do believe there is true love and true constancy among men. Believe them to be most fervent, most undeviating in Frederick Wentworth. I must go, uncertain of my fate, but I shall come back here or follow you as soon as possible. A word, a look will be enough to decide whether I enter your father's house this evening or never.
Oh, Frederick. Frederick, Frederick.
last, Miss Anne. You can put your book away now.
Oh, come with us, Anne. We've had such a good time.
For shopping. That's all women ever think about.
Oh, Charles, be quiet. Oh, and the new fashion's beautiful, Anne. I'm going to wear nothing but long sleeves for the evening from now on.
Long sleeves?
Yes, and short petticoats. Coloured and with braces. Oh, I had no idea of the fashions living at Uppercross.
And a good thing, too, I should say. I pity my poor cousin if he's going to have to keep you in coloured petticoats all his life.
With braces. Do you like the new short waist, Anne? Not sure that I do, really. The what? Aren't you feeling well?
No, Henrietta.
You look rather ill, Anne.
Oh, my poor Miss Anne.
Oh, it's nothing, Mum. It'll soon pass.
Oh, would you like to lie down here for a minute?
I think I'd better go home.
Oh, by all means, my dear. Go home at once and take care of yourself, or you won't be well enough for the party tonight.
Oh, yes, you must be all right for that.
Charles, ring and order a chair. Miss Anne must not walk.
Oh, no, Mum, I'd rather walk. It's what I need.
But you may catch cold.
No, my head, I want to clear it. Fresh air is what I want.
You haven't fallen down recently? You haven't slipped and bumped your head?
No, nothing like that.
Oh, good. Then I expect you'll be all right again by this evening.
Yes, thank you, Mrs. Musgrove.
We're all looking forward to it so much.
Charles!
I'm afraid, Mum, I hope it is perfectly understood that...
That what, my dear?
You will tell the other gentlemen that we are expecting them this evening, too. I'm so afraid there might have been some mistake.
Oh, I don't think so.
We are expecting Captain Wentworth as well as Captain Harville.
Oh, Captain Harville has every intention of coming, I assure you.
Oh, do you think so? I'm afraid I should be so sorry if... You will mention it to him when you see them again, won't you? You will see them again, I'm sure. Do please promise me.
Oh, to be sure, my dear. Charles, if you see Captain Harville anywhere, remember to give him Miss Anne's message.
Of course, Mamma.
There's no need to be uneasy, my dear. Captain Harville considers himself quite engaged. I'll answer for it.
But Captain Wentworth?
Oh, and Captain Wentworth, too, I dare say.
Yes, Anne. They'll both be there. Now, let me take you home.
Oh, no, thank you, Charles. I shall be quite all right by myself.
Don't be so foolish. Of course I shall take you. No, I don't like Bath. There's too much smoke and confusion. Give me the country every time. Oh, hello, Wentworth.
May I join you?
Please.
Of course. Which way are you going? Just to Gay Street? Or are you going on further up the town?
I hardly know.
Are you going as high as Belmont? Anywhere near Camden Place?
Yes, I could be.
Because if you are, I shall have no scruple in asking you to take my place and give Anne your arm to her father's.
It will be a pleasure.
She's rather done for this morning, I'm afraid. She can't get home on her own.
I shall be delighted.
And I really ought to be at that fellow's in the marketplace.
Which fellow's is that?
The gunsmith fellow's. You know. He promised to show me a capital gun he's just sending off to somebody. He said he wouldn't pack it up until the last possible moment so I could have a look at it. And if I don't go now, I shall miss it.
Oh, then, Charles, you must go. Oh, thank you for bringing me so far.
Yes, you must hurry.
Yes. It's a splendid piece, he says.
I'm sure it is.
It sounds rather like that second-size double barrel of mine you shot with round Winthrop one day. Do you remember?
Oh, yes, an excellent gun.
Charles, you must hurry or you'll miss it.
Yes. Oh, yes. Well, I'll leave Anne to you then, Wentworth.
I shall look after her to the very best of my ability, Musgrove.
Yes. Good. Well, I hope you'll soon be feeling well again, Anne. Yes, I must say you're looking a good deal better already.
And feeling it. Goodbye, Charles, and thank you.
Goodbye, then.
Well, Miss Elliot?
Well, sir.
Where shall we go?
Anywhere you like, so long as it's not to my father's.
8.5 years.
It's enough to have changed every pore of one's skin and every feeling in one's heart.
And yet our feelings haven't changed.
No. Mine never altered ever, except to grow deeper.
Oh, I never dared to imagine it. And what I did imagine was so terrible.
And I never imagined you imagining such a thing. Not till the concert.
Oh, that concert. I didn't hear a note.
You should have known me better than to be jealous of Mr. Elliot.
But everyone was saying that
Everyone was wrong, though.
I've never loved anyone but you, Anne.
Nor I anyone but you.
I tried to forget you. I even thought I succeeded. I thought I was indifferent, but I was really only angry.
Well, perhaps you were right.
I was still angry when we met again at Uppercross.
Oh, and I was still bitterly regretful.
And then, at Lyme, I suddenly realized.
I thought you were in love with Louisa.
Oh, I tried to be. I knew it was impossible, but I did try. And then at Lyme, I realized I'd never stopped loving you. I didn't know what to do. Everyone thought, like you, that I was virtually engaged to Louisa, and then the accident, and then... Oh, God. I had to get away, so I went to my brother's.
It was through him we first met.
Yes. Do you know what he asked me? Had you altered much, he wanted to know.
And what did you say?
To my eye, you could never alter, Anne.
Is that what you told him?
Not quite. Oh, that concert. With your cousin sitting on one side of you and Lady Russell on the other. Lady Russell.
She's a very good woman, Frederick.
Oh, is she? She persuaded you once, don't forget. I thought she was trying to persuade you again to marry Mr. Elliot. I thought everything was against me.
I'm not a girl now, you know.
You are to me.
I was wrong to yield to her then, but I thought I was doing my duty.
A very strange sort of duty.
She could never have persuaded me to do the opposite, to marry a man I didn't like.
Well, I suppose I should have known better. But you can imagine my fears. You yielded to her once, after all, and there she was, still sitting next to you. How was I to know she couldn't persuade you again?
Frederick, no one will ever persuade me to do anything again. Except you.
Your cousin and Captain Wentworth seem very deep into talk, Elliot.
Cousin? Which cousin?
Anne. Look at them. Anyone would think they were engaged.
Captain Wentworth?
Yes.
But I thought
I
you were...
told you I wasn't in the least attracted by Mr. Elliot. You should have believed me.
My dear, I don't know what to say.
There's nothing to say now.
My dearest Anne, I only did what I thought was right.
I know.
Now I hope that I can persuade you. And not that you were wrong then, but that I am right now.
Well, it'll take some getting used to, but all I've ever wanted is for your happiness, you know.
Then you won't find it hard to love Frederick, too. You must begin tonight at our party. I shall make you.
Come on.
But my things...
What do you need with them? I'll buy you new ones, better ones. Come on. London.
I congratulate you, Anne.
Oh, thank you, Ma.
You have deceived us all. Our thoughts lay in quite another direction.
Yes, Anne. Where's Mr. Elliot tonight?
I don't know. And I don't care.
Charles, enjoying yourself?
I can't understand it, Father. She seems to have disappeared.
What, Penelope? Oh, it's not like her. Perhaps she's not feeling well.
She's not in her room.
Odd. Very odd. Oh, good evening, Lady Russell.
Well, Walter, were you surprised as I was?
Surprised? Oh, by Anne, you mean? No, not surprised.
Well, are you pleased?
Oh, not a bad match for Anne, even though he is a sailor. Not at all ill-looking.
No.
I've seen him by daylight. I've eyed him well. He'll do for Anne.
Evening, sir.
Who's that?
Well, you gave us no warning of this, did you, Wentworth?
Well, surprise is always the best form of attack, Harville.
Well, it's about time you were married. You're not as young as all that.
Thank you.
Captain Wentworth, I must ask you to accept my very best wishes.
You're very kind, Ma'am.
I think you know I've always loved Anne like my own daughter.
Yes, Ma'am. I have had reason to know it.
I hope you will believe me when I say that it was always her happiness that I was thinking of, and of which I'm still thinking now.
Yes, Ma'am. And thank you.
Well, Mom, are you as pleased as I am?
Well, I don't know quite how pleased that is, but I'm very pleased for myself.
And so am I. I've always liked Anne. She's so sensible. And she's much the most interesting of those three sisters, don't you agree?
Oh, yes. And the one with the sweetest nature.
It's so obvious that she'll make a good wife. I can't understand why no one's ever asked her to marry them before.
Well, and about time, too, that's what I'd say. I thought we were never going to get Frederick married when Benwick went off with... what's that girl's name?
My sister, Louisa.
That's right, Louisa. Well, thank heavens he's off our hands at last.
Admiral, couldn't you be a little more... Well...
No, Mary, he's perfectly right. Everybody should get married as soon as possible. All this hanging about never does anybody any good at all.
Exactly.
Well, I'm delighted to have been of some service to you, Admiral.
Well, so you have, my dear. But we shall expect to see a good deal of you both at Kellynch, of course.
Indeed we shall.
I don't believe it. It's not possible. Why, Mr. Elliot's my heir.
But it's here, in black and white, sir.
Well, let me see.
I'd rather not show it to you, sir. It's not entirely respectful. But I felt you should know.
Well, yes, thank you, sir.
Is something the matter, Father?
Yes, my dear. Thank you, Wallace, thank you.
It isn't about Penelope, is it?
I'm afraid so. She's run off with your cousin, my heir, Mr. Elliot.
I thought he was Irish when I first saw him.
I'm delighted. But Captain Wentworth is much richer than either Captain Benwick or Charles Hayter.
He's a capital shot, you know.
She's a girl after my own heart.
Isn't it wonderful? We're all getting married now.
But, Father, what are we going to do about it?
Nothing. We must behave as though nothing has happened or will happen.
Yes, you're quite right, of course.
We are very ill-used, Elizabeth. Very ill-used indeed. But we mustn't show it.
No. Well, shall I get them all to sit down to cards now?
Yes, excellent idea.
Shall we all sit down now?
No cards? You're sure you haven't changed?
Quite sure. Frederick, I've been thinking about the past. For all we've suffered, I was right, I think. I mean, I was only obeying my conscience. I can't reproach myself with that, can I? It's not a bad thing in a woman to have a strong sense of duty.
Ah, but duty to whom?
Oh, I hope you're going to try and forgive Lady Russell.
Not yet. But perhaps in time.
Please, Frederick.
Oh, yes, I'll try. I may even succeed. I've been thinking too, Anne. I've been wondering if someone may not have been an even worse enemy to me than Lady Russell. I mean myself. Tell me, if I'd written to you 18 months after our engagement was broken, would you have answered me?
Would I? Oh, why didn't you write?
Because I was too proud to ask you again. I didn't understand you or do you justice.
Oh, Frederick. You and I are going to have to make an agreement.
To do what?
Never to reproach ourselves, or each other, with what might have been. Or we shall make a sad pair.
Yes. Yes, agreed. Yes. I shall just have to learn to put up with being far happier than I deserve.